they think. And I think, they hope that people forgot, but people didn't forget. It's almost like they had that pent up frustration, and for 2 years saying, okay, let's say get our vengeance on them.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be easy, and I think I agree with you. It's going to be very challenging for the Houston Astros, especially with fans not really being able to kind of express that as they would have preferred. And they're not going to, they don't forget. They're going to come out and they're going to express their displeasure with that situation.
Yeah, big time. I mean, they'll have the trash cans and stuff in Oakland. The drums, they go crazy in Oakland. There's a small crowd. It feels like 40,000 people. And they don't go to L.A. until late, but they go to New York in mid-May. So even if you only have half the stadium filled, it's going to be loud and, very boisterous. And they're going to be, screaming their heads off just because they never had a chance to boo them yet. Now here's their chance.
Yeah.
Bob, speaking of the A's, you and I were able to see them last week over in Mesa, over at Hohokam Stadium. What do you see in this Oakland A's team as they try to make a repeat and win the AL West? Do you like this baseball team? Do you think they can repeat their success that they had last year and they've had over the last couple of years and be a viable franchise and make a run?
I do. I think it's a very good team. They lost Marcus Semien. It was a horrible loss to lose him, what he meant for that franchise. He's from the Bay Area and went to school there. Liam Hendricks, of course, is a closer now with the Chicago White Sox. You lost him. But they still, they're still a very good team. I thought they had a chance to go to the World Series last year. And, of course, they lost Matt Chapman, their all-star third baseman down the stretch. But, yeah, it's still a very, very good team. And I think Doug Melman's as good a manager as in baseball, just never gets the credit.
And talking about credit, Bob, I want to go ahead and ask you, I don't know if it'll be an easy question for you to answer or not, but is there a team that you're seeing now that probably isn't getting enough credit with the way that they're playing and, can probably be a team to look out for as the season kicks off and as we head into, an All-Star break, which we still don't know if we're going to have or not, but, getting to that middle point of the season?
Well, they're a good team, but I still don't think people talk about the Atlanta Braves enough. I think they're an outstanding team. They've won 3 straight division titles. No one seems to notice. Everybody picks everybody else in the division but Atlanta. They're my World Series pick, so I'm going with them this year. I'm not saying they're a big sleeper, but people don't talk about them enough. So, maybe they're a semi-sleeper. The National League Central, I think, the Brewers could win that thing, the Cardinals, the Cubs. That thing's wide open. The Brewers might be a sleeper in the Central because they have a lot of good pitching. Just nobody's ever heard of them.
Bob, it was already tough enough for Tampa Bay to lose to the Dodgers in 6 games in the World Series. Then you lose Blake Snell. How do they rebound from such a horrific loss in the World Series? Then you lose one of your arguably your top starting pitcher. How can they rebound from that and bounce back and have another good season and be competitive again?
Well, they still have a lot of good players. When they this kid named Wander Franco, he started the year in the minor leagues. Infielder, supposed to be number 1 prospect in all of baseball. So we'll hear a lot about him. They still do things right there. The Blake Snell trade, I didn't understand. Maybe they felt they had to do it after what happened in the World Series. So people don't, keep reminding them of the blunder they made pulling him out of the game. But still a good team. I don't think they're quite on the Yankees level, but they're right there with Toronto. And they'll scare some people. It's still a very good team.
So who do you see in the American League? Because there's some teams out there that maybe to look out for. Either that's the East, the Central, or the West. I know you mentioned your, just overall MLB, but in the American League, is there someone that you kind of look out for that can maybe be a potential? Oh my gosh. Someone to look out for in the postseason?
Well, I think the American League is so wide open. Like I said, there's not a super team over there. So, the Yankees, I'm sure come trade deadline, they'll do what they need to do. In the Central, you got the Chicago White Sox, you got the Minnesota Twins. Cleveland Indians Cleveland still has a lot of pitching. And then in the West might be the weakest division. But Oakland's still very good. You can't count out Houston, and if things really broke right for the Angels, they could be there. But I think you could, take a pick of 6 or 7 teams in the American League and have a chance of one of those teams to get the World Series. It's just not that same powerful league as we're used to.
What do you believe has been the change for the American League to cause that they don't have that powerful like we used to seeing it in the past? What's the dynamic there?
Well, I think some of it's just the payroll. I mean, the Yankees didn't care about the luxury tax. Now they do. They refuse to go over it. Like the Dodgers, they're going to have about a $40 million payroll more than anybody else. The Boston Red Sox we talked about, they had severe cutbacks. Toronto spent some money. Tampa cut back. The White Sox spent some money. Minnesota cut back. And then in the West, nobody really did anything either as far as financially. So I think more teams nationally, you just have to look over at the Dodgers and Padres, see that they're spending money, and the Mets spent some money this winter. Philadelphia brought back JT Realmuto, and the Cardinals, of course, got Nolan Arenado, with his big contract. So it seems like the National League teams are spending more right now.
Bob, talking about Nolan Arenado, what kind of an impact do you think he can have in St. Louis? Of course, obviously, he had a great impact in Colorado before things kind of went sour. Things went kind of left with him with the relationship between him and the Rockies. What can he do in such a baseball-starved city as St. Louis? I know they're going to love him and embrace him once he gets to Busch Stadium and he actually suits up for some regular season action for the Cardinals.
Yeah, we used to talk about that almost every time I saw him. He asked what it was like. It would be like playing in St. Louis because I've been there, a million times, and we stay right downtown. I said the same thing. They're going to love it there. You'll love it there. It's the easiest place in the world to play. You're not going to get booed. They embrace you. Now, I do think he'll put some pressure on himself. I think he's that type of guy. So I could see him struggling early in April, just self-inflicted pressure. But it's every player will tell you that's the easiest place to play. They win every year. They're always competing for the title. It's a one newspaper town, pro player with the fans, everything else. So I think he'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, and the Cardinals have also turned their team around because that's another one that we used to see, like the Braves see them in, contend and be in the playoffs and someone to look out for. And it seems like they're like slowly turning that around, and just they have a Goldschmidt now, they have a Arenado. They're building that. They're building around that team or around those players. So that's another thing that you see, going back. To look out for, like we used to see in past seasons.
Yeah, I mean they have their stars, and that's a goal of mine there. They have an area behind the ballpark, right across the street called Ballpark Village. Shops, restaurants, restaurants, and that's money that comes into their pockets. Everybody hangs out there before games and after games and during games. I think if they wanted to, they could have a Yankee payroll. They bring in that kind of money there. 45,000 fans a game. So the fans are starting to get restless until they got Arenado. So they expect that team to be good every year. And I don't think you've had a rebuilding season in about 25 years. So they try to win every single year.
And speaking about fans, I know you've been at the games, at least for spring training, and there's some limited capacity. Now we're starting off here. The season, and also stadiums will have, or ballparks will have, limited capacity for the fans. How do you think that's going to change the way the players and that energy or the vibe, or is it going to make any difference from last season to now? Because we saw last season it was mostly in the postseason where we saw some fans in the stands. So now we're going to see a little bit more, and hopefully we get to see that progress as the season moves along.
Yeah, it'll make a big difference. And the players have said, repeatedly this spring how much they miss the fans, and they kind of forgot. Maybe they're taking the fans for granted. Now you're going to have about 20, 25, 30% capacity in most ballparks, 100% in Texas. And teams are taking the vaccine now. So I think we're going to see, these stadiums get filled up, maybe by June or July. I know the Cincinnati Reds were supposed to, they were going back to Cincinnati tonight, but St. Louis was going in to play them. They were going to have the entire team take the vaccine in Cincinnati. The Houston Astros on their way to Oakland were stopping off in Houston to get that vaccine. So they loosen the protocols. If 85% of the players and staff members get the vaccine now, then they go to restaurants and hang out, have friends over, have family members stay with them. So the spring went very well. And I think by a month from now, I think most teams will already have a vaccine.
Bob, how much have you had to shift your coverage and the way you actually cover games? We talked about you're going to go to Denver and cover the Dodgers and the Rockies, but with this whole pandemic and everything, social distancing and the way teams are changing, how media can cover baseball games and other sports, how has this affected the way you do your job in covering baseball?
Well, it's had a big impact, particularly by covering baseball for a long time. I know all these people and you can't see them. I thought it was fun this spring. I could finally see baseball scouts again, before games and after games, go out, that sort of thing, where the players were still, seclusion. They couldn't go out. But it's rough. I mean, you can, on a computer screen, getting an interview along with, 40 other people. And a lot of people weren't even at the ballpark. So I think that's why you had a lot of people that didn't even travel because they didn't think it was worth it, money-wise, because you weren't getting any special access. But I still like being at the ballpark. I was in San Diego for like 3 straight weeks there for the playoffs last year. Then went to Texas for the World Series. It just had a more of a feel than sitting on your living room couch and watching off the TV.
Yes, totally different feel and different vibes. So I hope that we soon get to see each other at the ballparks and be at some games more often and have some more accessibility as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think reporters will be in the field by, say, June or July. I'm not sure in the clubhouse. I think they may want to say, let's just be a little bit more cautious, wait till 2022. But it wouldn't surprise me if reporters are back in the clubhouse, at least maybe by postseason time. They want to be safe as possible. The last thing they want is some reporter to, infect a team or something like that. And then
right.
That poor reporter for being responsible for the team being shut down for a while.
Right. Bob, I wanted to ask you about what you think the future of Major League Baseball is going to be. Of course, there's no secret that the MLB and the MLBPA hasn't seen eye to eye recently. It's not been a good relationship, and the CBA is up in December. What do you think the future of baseball is or will be once the CBA expires?
Well, it could be nasty. I was talking to Tony Clark, that head of the Players Union today. He lives here in Phoenix. It's just there's so much distrust between the two sides. I mean, they couldn't even get an agreement between a DH and a expanded postseason this winter. So, they drive each other crazy. So it's, nothing's going to happen during the season. There won't be a strike or work stoppage, but you sort of can see some kind of work stoppage during the winter, and maybe it affects, 2022 a little bit. We'll see, but a lot of pessimism.
That has definitely been a really tough relationship between the two. So hopefully we don't get to see too much turmoil as, the season, comes to an end, and during the off season, hopefully they all come to some friendly, amicable agreements.
Yeah, and I think it'll make it easier with the negotiating face to face. I think it made it very tough doing it by Zoom calls and phone calls. You can't see each other's expression, or somebody storm out of the room, or throw their papers up in the air or something like that. So I think it'll make easier negotiations being in the same conference room.
So tell me, what do you have you missed most about, with the whole having coverage and the way that baseball has changed? What have you missed most and look forward to getting back to just overall in baseball?
Well, I just miss the people. I mean, when I could cover regular season games last year, it was a lonely feeling. You're sitting in the press box by yourself. You're not talking to anybody. You're having some kind of pre-ordered food. Where before you're talking to writers, broadcasters, media members, scouts before games, and seeing baseball people, going to the clubhouse and stuff like that. So it was just a lonely feeling. So I'd be glad to see people again. When the spring training was a start, but once we're back in the clubhouses and can talk to managers and coaches and players, then it will seem like normal again.
Bob, is your travel schedule pretty much set, or are you just kind of going along as the season goes on with what series you want to go cover and those kind of situations with your travel?
Yeah, it's just right now through